Hey, welcome everyone to the February 15th Lee Selectmen's meeting. A reminder that this meeting is being recorded. We just ask that everyone stay muted unless recognized by the chair. And to be recognized, just use the reaction on the reactions button at the bottom. Just click on raise hand. And we are all set to go, Madam Chair.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody, and welcome. The first order of business is the open session minutes of February 1st, 2022. Could I have a motion to approve unless there's a question?
Yeah, Patty, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes. I just noticed one spelling correction on line item G that I think we need to make is appointment of a part-time firefighter paramedic. I think it should say part-time, but I'd make a motion to accept minutes with that correction.
Okay, and what number is that?
That was item G.
Oh, we can make sure Cindy has it. Okay, item G. So are you saying that the Sean Duma's name is spelled incorrectly?
No, just the title there. Appointment of part-time.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Sean Renier, aye.
Bob Jones, aye.
Pat Carlino, aye. Okay, we don't have any public hearings tonight. We're up to public comments.
I don't see anyone at this point. Oh, I do have one hand from Kathy Hall. Hold on one second. Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, thank you. I was a little slow on finding the hand, but anyways, the Lee Youth Commission is working on having night skating during the week of February vacation, starting February 21st. Of course, weather permitting. Right now, it's very cold, but we know in the weekend it's going to be very warm. We're going to have a heat wave, but we're hoping that it'll warm up again, not warm up, be cold again. Chief Brown is going to keep his eye on that to make sure that everything's okay with this skating. He has also ordered some tower lights so that we can have skating at night. And our hope is like maybe 5 to 8 with the okay of the select board to do that.
Kathy, when are you going to have, you mean just that?
Just for that week. Yeah, weather permitting. We've done it before. The very first time we did it, we had the lights and it was very successful. People really enjoyed coming out and skating at night.
I'm sure they did. Do we need to approve that? Are you asking us to approve that? Well,
I need
I remember ever doing it before, so.
I think we just did it before, but at any rate, just want you to be aware that we're going to try to do that again if the weather permits.
Okay.
And then as far as the potential community center, as you know, you already have 3 options for operation and sustainability. We're still waiting for 2 other options for the building of the building. We already have option 3, but we need options 1 and 2. And hopefully that'll be with you for the March 1st meeting. So just to give you an update that we're still working on aspects of the potential community center.
Okay.
And that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else, Chris?
No other hands at this point.
Okay. Well, then let's move along. The first thing we have is the some appointments, a couple of appointments. And one of them is for the sealer of weights and measures, Brandon College. I'm not sure I'm saying that.
I think it's Coligny.
Oh, okay. And that recommendation would have come from, do you know from who?
The building commissioner.
Okay. Sean, Bob, you have any questions on that?
Nope. I'll make a motion to appoint Brandon, what was it, Caligny, Chris?
Yes.
To the position of a sealer of weights and measures.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Sean Renier, aye.
Bob Jones, aye.
Pat Carlino, aye. Welcome aboard. And then we have an appointment to the Lee Greener Gateway Committee, Catherine Miller. We have a little letter from Catherine. Just to let us know she's currently involved with the Lee Community Gardens. And so she and has been a resident in Lee for 11 years, in Berkshire for 25, and would like to become more active. And I'm sure Peter Hoffman and his group and us as well would love to have her become more active. So if I could hear a motion to appoint Catherine Miller.
I'll make a motion to appoint Catherine Miller to the Lee Greener Gateway Committee.
Second.
All those in favor?
Bob Jones, aye.
Sean Renier, aye.
Pat Carlino, aye. Thank you and welcome. Okay, we're up to Tri-Town Health. Is Jim on tonight?
Yep, Jim is here.
Good evening,
Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the
Okay,
Select Board.
We're back here from our last meeting. We were going to find out a couple things and then get back together with you tonight. I'm assuming this went to Jeremiah and he gave it his blessing. Didn't
Yeah, we
change
Yes,
it.
Jeremiah
Slight
said
change.
that the changes, he was happy with the changes, so.
Okay. Jim, do you want to?
But they addressed all his concerns.
No, really, it's just a continuation, Madam Chair, of, as you know, Tri-Town being the oldest health district in the state, 96 years and counting. We've been leaders in regionalization and shared services for a long time. We wrote this very large grant that covers Southern Berkshire Public Health Collaborative in its new formation, which allows us $300,000+ a year, hopefully for the next 13 years, to really build a robust public health program in addition to what Tri-Town already does. And it's just really exciting times. And this is just the first process of many, just to kind of get the intermunicipal agreements up and running. And then we can move it along to the other towns. And as some of you may know, you may have seen some of our pop-up drive-through clinics. We're just scratching the surface on some of the public health nursing programs that we're doing. We just became an approved vaccine provider, so we'll be providing our own vaccinations moving forward. And it's just really exciting times in public health where we're finally getting the investment that we deserve at the local level. And I appreciate the board's support in helping us move this along. I'm open to any questions anyone has. And I also have Rich Mucci here, who's an attorney that's been helping not only Tri-Town, but several, probably 100 boards of health across the state doing similar intermunicipal agreements. And I also have MHAB here, Mike Hugo, who's a TA provider that helps a lot of boards of health on just routine board of health stuff. And we just have a lot of people working really hard together to really push public health and close the gap on inequities and really having healthy outcomes for our community residents. And I appreciate your time.
Okay, the only thing I have is I did read the whole thing. Page 3, last paragraph, first sentence, typo. I think it should read, the advisory board shall meet no less than quarterly. And it says shall meet on less than quarterly. There's
Easy fix.
Okay.
Yeah, and we do meet monthly, by the way. It's at public meetings and it's recorded on CTSB, and that should be an easy change.
Okay, Bob, Sean.
No, I'm good with this.
Yeah, Yeah, thanks, Jim, for all your great work. And I hope this program goes well and you don't run out of funding and it kind of dissolves in 3 years, you know, because that's sort of the time frame that you're working with right now, right?
Yeah, so the intermunicipal agreement right now is based on 3 years. That's the first cycle of funding. And so we would probably revisit that after 3 years, but it's supposedly supposed to be in perpetuity. Because
Okay.
part of this type of funding, Sean, is I think the state and many stakeholders realize that we can't just rely on town meeting appropriations. In Tri-Town does that, but there's only so much we can do within the realm of that funding. You know, if we were to come to each town for a public health nurse program, it would be $200,000+ a year, and that's an inequity that none of us can afford. So I think the state's recognizing that they have to start funneling additional dollars in addition to what towns are doing, because that's created significant inequity across the board. A lot of small towns don't even have agents. They're all volunteers. They're not licensed. They're not certified. And I think the state knew that, but the pandemic really put a magnifying glass on that. And, you know, we were better prepared than most, even though we didn't have a robust public health nurse program at the time, because a lot of small towns rely on limited VNA funding that did the basics of the basics. And I know Mike Hugo's on here, and he's part of the advocacy group at the high end of the state. And the state realizes, Sean, that they have to start investing into municipalities and local public health. They just have to, because we can't afford it by ourselves. And it'd be a shame that we've done so much so in the last 2 or 3 years for them to pull the rug underneath us, because we would be back to square one again on all the inequities. Mike, do you have anything to share with the select board on, you know, Sean's comment on that?
Sure. The interesting twist is I'm Mike Hugo, by the way, and I'm senior policy and I'm hearing an echo. I'm sorry. Senior policy analyst and government affairs liaison for the Mass Association of Health Boards. And basically we're traveling the state these days, pushing this grant program pretty hard. It's $300,000 a year. There are 3-year cycles, and there's 3 of those 3-year cycles. So it's anticipated 9 years. Realistically speaking, I think that 3 years from now, it'll become an annual line item on the Department of Public Health. It'll just be another entry. We won't have to keep going back to the legislature. When we went to the Senate this year, asked them, well, last year we got 11.7 million, I'm sorry. And this year we went back and asked them for 13 million. And we were told by the Senate president that we didn't ask for enough money, that she wanted to give us 15 million. So that was the Senate line item. The governor, of course, with his budget says 10 million. But the Senate and the House are both very confident that we'll get back to the 15 million for this program. Then over and above that, we have $200 million in funding over the next 4 years from the ARPA funds, which are going to be designed to, there's money in there actually to make sure that everybody's making an adequate wage who's working in public health. There's actually going to be some money dumped into the cities and towns to increase the payroll for the health agents and the inspectors. There is a large sum of money for trainings, which is what the MAHB is very involved in, the training part of it and the technical assistance. And that money will completely redefine the way that we do public health in Massachusetts. So there'll be incredible new data collection systems, and your health inspectors, instead of writing things on paper, will be entering things on tablets that'll go directly to Jim, and then Jim's computer will link to the state, and the state will be able to track what's going on statewide in public health. So we're really seeing a whole new genesis of a whole new program right now, and it's a very exciting time. And this is really the silver lining from COVID. I know COVID was tragic for many, many people. It was tragic for all of us on some level. But in the world of public health, it highlighted the inequities, and it highlighted the the injustices that we saw from the first day of vaccination, where senior citizens were told, you've matched with Springfield for your shot. And unfortunately, you're coming from Barnstable County to go to Springfield for your shot because that's where the computer did it. You all remember those glitches. And those glitches, we were able to really make hay with the media and with our legislative friends. And, you know, our champion is Senator Joe Comerford from out in the western part of the state. And Senator Comerford is the person pushing really the heavy duty funding that we're looking at.
It is exciting. It's a wonderful project to be taking on. And I'm sure Jim's up to the job. Right, Jim?
He sure is. I got to tell you, you got a good one there. You do.
And I will say, we are already on tablets, by the way. It just doesn't feed into the state system. So Tri-Town was the first Board of Health in Berkshire County to go onto the online system.
Okay. Well, thank you. And I would assume you want us to vote and ratify this and sign it. Sure,
I'll make the typo change, Patty, and I can get you a fresh copy.
I'm not worried about that. You can get that to Cindy and we can stop in and sign it. But Sean, Bob, do you have anything to say, or does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the intermunicipal agreement for public health excellence for shared service grant.
Second.
All those in favor?
Bob Jones, aye.
Sean Renier, aye.
Pat Carlino, aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Jim, you're going to stick around just for a couple minutes?
I will stick around. Thank you.
On this next item. We have a discussion on the March 24th special town meeting. We put this on. I'm not quite sure what we're discussing, but we had just mentioned at our last meeting that we'd like to hold it in person. I don't think I dreamt that. I think we decided that, but we were going to kind of wait to see where you're coming from. And now we've gotten the new directive or the new schedule today. So I guess just want to pick your brain again, what you're thinking.
Yeah, and Chris and I had a lengthy conversation, as well as many other people in the last few weeks about this. And so there's nothing prohibiting the board to have an in-person special town meeting or gathering or anything like that. You know, the one thing that Tri-Town still has in place is our mask directive that asks people to mask indoors. And again, to be clear, that's not an official mandate. That was put in place back in September when Delta first came in line. And rather than have just a mushy advisory, the boards really wanted a strongly worded directive, although it's unenforceable and we never enforced it. But I think the majority of the community has really stepped up when that happened. You know, that was 6 months ago. And we were planning on setting up a new Tri-Town meeting, which is now posted for March 9th, to revisit that directive anyway. And then we were a little bit blindsided when the governor and DESE announced that they were lifting the indoor masking rules on February 28th, which actually kind of stumped us a little bit because that's the day after winter break. And short history has shown us that, you know, we've seen some increases, you know, from winter break, spring break, and other holiday events. And so we were kind of scratching our heads thinking it's like, wow, they're going to eliminate the masking the first day back after winter break. So I think that kind of set the school committees back. They're actually meeting as we speak, and they were asking me to go to that as well. But I have a commitment to this meeting. And so a lot of conversation seems to be happening. You know, my kids go to Pittsfield schools. We were just polled on what our thoughts are. I think the schools are at different places. I think some schools are considering eliminating the indoor masking rule on the 28th. And I think others like Lennox are looking into it, possibly further down the road. I've been working with all the school districts on that. And then DPH today came out with their updated masking advisory, which actually mirrors where the masking was before Delta. So it's not brand new. It's sort of similar to what we were doing last summer when people were getting rid of the masking and things kind of calmed down a little bit. And so what that state advisory suggests is that if you're vaccinated, you're not required to mask indoors unless you feel that you have a family member or you're compromised, or you can put someone at risk within your family. And those that are unvaccinated should seriously consider masking. And so I think, you know, a lot of these mitigation strategies seems to be eroding away as time goes on. You know, the schools are talking about it. The DPH is talking about it. You know, obviously Tri-Town's going to be revisiting our mask directive. And while I don't know what the outcome will be, is if we don't have all these mitigation strategies kind of all aligned, it won't work in piecemeal. So I think we're backing off on contact tracing. We're doing less and less. There's less and less PCR testing, meaning they're pushing the at-home testing. And that at-home testing, if John Doe takes an at-home test and doesn't report it to the school nurse or public health nurse, it doesn't go into the system. So we're seeing not a significant decrease, but we're trending downwards in the amount of PCR tests. The COVID positivity rate has plateaued a little bit in South County. The previous couple of weeks have been slowly, gradually going down, but the positivity case per 100,000 though is still really high as compared to where we were back in Halloween of 2021 when we first got back into the red. We were around 200 cases per 100,000, which put us in the red. We're still hovering between 700 and 800 cases per 100,000. So while some people say that the numbers are dropping, they're not really dropping. But when we start to put all these mitigation strategies and we're doing less and less of that, our Tri-Town masking directive is rendering itself to be ineffective. And if people are going to be in schools and they're considering getting rid of masking, the state's advising less and less masking, we're trending in a direction where we have to normalize and we have to start thinking about how we're going to live with COVID. There's going to be more variants coming. Some may be worse than others, but we can't impose these rules much longer. We have to now rely on our community membership and our leadership and our families and the schools to do what the right thing is. If you're symptomatic, you should not go to school or work. You should stay home and test. You should follow quarantine and isolation. But we're going to have to reconcile mentally and physically how we're going to live with COVID for however much longer it's going to be. So that's a long-winded kind of summary, but there's nothing that will prevent the Lee special town meeting from happening. I think what Chris and I spoke about is, what if you get a request for an accommodation? What does that look like? Do you want to have some test kits available? Do you want to have some N95s available? Do you want to try to social distance? I don't know what that looks like, Madam Chair, what some of the town reps are thinking, but if there's any request for accommodations, that's something to always consider.
True. In thinking about it, not that we've ever implemented it, but the room at the high school, I think, can fit town reps and us and whoever else within a 6 foot distance if we needed to do that. At the very least, Bob and Sean, maybe we should do what we did last year and send a little memo out to the representatives themselves, kind of like laying out our options and see what they think. I mean, I'm still okay with having an open town meeting. I mean, having an indoor town meeting on March 24th, unless March 20th, the earth drops in or something. But I don't know how you feel about that. I
would say, Patty, I agree with you. I took biology 1 in high school. That's the end of my science experience. So I'm relying upon the experts, the healthcare experts, and the scientists, and whatever. And my inclination is to have the open town meeting. If we need guidance from Jim from Tri-Town in terms of spacing, masking, that sort of thing, I'm open to any of that. But the trend seems to be the people I'm talking to understand that we have to get the business of the town done.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of a hybrid meeting, I understand hybrid meetings when it comes to board meetings. I think that's actually a great idea for selectmen or select boards, Conservation Commission, Planning Board, that sort of thing. But for a town meeting, we've got a lot of business. We're not going to be able to do it in one night, hence the special town meeting. And I worry about a hybrid meeting because I worry that something is going to go wrong.
Me too. That's
and if it goes wrong, it's all for naught. And we've got to get this business done. So I'm going to show up. I'm going to be there. I'll wear a mask, but I'm there to do the business of the town. And at this point, if I'm listening to Jim, I'm thinking at this point, it's almost a matter of personal responsibility in terms of how we deal with each other as individuals and as a community. And I've got all my shots, and I'm going to wear my mask and observe all the protocols. But I really think we should do an open town meeting, an in-person meeting.
Yeah. Sean?
Madam Chair, I just want to mention we have the moderator, Sarah Wright, is here as well. And we have a hand from Josh Bloom, if you want to recognize either of them.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that, Patty. I think that was well said by Bob and you. So.
Okay. Does Sarah have anything she wants to?
Hello, all, and
Hi, Sarah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One question. I know, Chris, you and I talked a couple weeks ago too, and I definitely want to thank you, Jim, for that fantastic summary. That was great. Is there still any talk about a baby meeting, a baby town meeting, that thing?
Yeah, we haven't really gotten into that, have we?
Not during my tenure, no. But I'm just curious if that's been determined. I'm taking from your facial expressions, not really.
No.
Okay,
it hasn't. And if we were going to do that, we normally would have it at least a week before the special. Right. Now, in regard, we might come back with it for the annual. For the special, it's pretty the articles are not all over the board, like with the budget and the finance. It's pretty much the planning board and then just a couple of optional things. So I don't think we would need a special. I don't think we would need a baby town meeting for that, but if anybody wants to disagree, you're open to disagree with me.
My only concern is that I think were there about 17 items on the warrant, 17 articles at last count, Chris?
Were there that many? I've lost track. I know there were.
Yeah, so there was a number of articles. I think we had 6 or 7 articles. I could pull them up if you'd like, that were various different things. And then there was 10 articles that were specific to zoning. So it is 17 or 18 articles with the zoning. So I believe 10 zoning, and then there's one for CPA bylaws, open meeting bylaws. And hold on one second. I'll just make sure I'm not forgetting anything here. Community Preservation Act bylaws, master plan, change in the bylaw for the tax collector on people applying for permits that have that owe back taxes. There was one for the Special Act Charter Review Commission, one previous fiscal year invoice, and then the zoning. So there's 10 zoning.
So my only, this will be my first special town meeting. And so I know that no one here can, predict how many people might turn out. But I think if there are more items rather than fewer, right? You might imagine more people would want to come. And I just know that the last time I think we were indoors there, we were in 2 different rooms. So I don't know if we would have to do that again. The only thing I would say about that for social distancing or attendance wise is that that felt unwieldy. But I did have, I had an assistant moderator at the time who, is sadly no longer with us. And the logistics of it. I think, and again, barring any major new variant, descending on us between now and then, such that we would, the mask mandates and all the other mitigation strategies would need to be reassessed.
Could I suggest our next meeting, I believe is March 1st. And so maybe between then, now and then, Chris can be working on some of these questions and answers, and by the next meeting, maybe we should be able to answer them, which still gives us a couple of weeks before.
Yeah, we would be looking at signing the warrant on that March 1st meeting. So
okay.
We would need to have a final.
So maybe we have a
decision
in place by then.
Yep.
Sean, Bob, you okay with that?
I am absolutely, and again, that the special town meeting is 5 weeks out, and things are changing so rapidly.
I know.
Well, I think we take it as it comes, and I mean, I'll be the first one to say cancel the meeting if things go south. So,
yeah,
fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah, we have one public member, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
With a hand up, Josh.
Josh, are you there?
I am.
You missed the public comments.
No, I didn't. Well, I thought that this was the opportunity for public comments on.
No, no. But go ahead. I just got your email about 20 minutes ago because I had dinner and everything going on. So I can't say I'm well versed on it.
Okay.
And it's something we would look into tomorrow.
I apologize for my procedural unfamiliarity with the proceedings, but so I did share with you earlier today that the governor signed Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, which essentially provides Sarah as moderator the ability to request the select board for creating a way for people to participate either remotely or to hold the meeting fully remotely. So it initiates with the moderator, and then it can go to such a request, and that would go to the select board. So me as an individual doesn't have that authority. So I'll start off by saying that. But I will say from a public health background, I want to correct something that Jim had alluded to, which was that about masking, which is that today the CDC reaffirmed the recommendation to maintain masking in all counties, such as Berkshire County with high or substantial transmission of COVID-19. And Berkshire County, according to today's Berkshire Eagle, is still within that high classification. So my second point on like this being good public health policy for right now, I think that it would be better to have to delay the meeting until you can hold it outdoors. But also I wanted to point out, I think some of these issues have been addressed by Bob, which was that I think it is good participatory governance. I think Bob has raised some valid thoughts about the more difficulty of having such a large scale meeting in a hybrid model. But if you are not going to have the meeting outdoors and you're going to hold it indoors and cannot have it participatory, I still would recommend that you consider how you can use technology advantageously, such that if anyone wanted to at least watch live, that they could do so. And I don't know if prior to last year, if that was the practice. So, you know, I would urge you to consider postponing till you could do it outdoors. But if it's the will of the select board, then I would say at minimum, look to try to at least broadcast it live.
Thank you. And we will talk about that. CT, I assume, and I shouldn't do that, but I'm pretty sure CTSB will be there to record it. Sometimes they're live, sometimes it's not.
I know they've definitely done it live in the past.
Yes.
If they have somebody, available to do it. So.
Yeah, I agree with Bob. I hesitate to do a hybrid type of approach with something like that because, you know, we have to get the business done. And if anything goes wrong, then it just puts the whole thing on hold again. So,
sorry. Now, Chris, is it possible for you to reach out to CTSB and ask them if they can do it live?
Yeah, absolutely. I can ask Steve about that tomorrow.
Great. Then we can talk about it on March 1st.
And I'll talk to Matt at the school as well. The two of them usually are able to, Matt Filio at the school and Steve Borns from CTSB are usually able to work that out.
Great, thank you.
okay. So we're going to move along. I think all of us have in front of us the proposed ARPA expenditure plan. That we've been working on for a couple months. Does everybody have that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Have you had a chance to look at it and maybe have questions to it? And see what your feeling is on the different items?
Yeah, do you want to kind of go through them and just give everyone a general, a quick synopsis of where this?
Sure. I'm sorry, I would defer to Chris to do that. He's got a much better handle on what's going on. I know what they are, but he can explain it much better.
Sure.
And maybe Chris, if you just give an overview to people as to what the ARPA is.
Yeah, so I'll be happy to do that. So it's the American Recovery Plan Act. We are looking right now, some of the things have actually already been taken care of. For instance, the last meeting, you already voted on the Eagle Mill money. But yeah, so we received the first payment of that. It was a $1.6 million allocation that we got from the federal government. And so it has very specific things you can use it for. So we did have, when we considered how to use the money, we did have, again, categories that we were limited to. So we did put out a survey, a letter went out to, in all of the tax bills, the last tax bill. We did get some good feedback from that. By far, the largest area was for a water infrastructure, and this plan reflects that survey as well. The largest chunk of money by far would be going for water infrastructure. So I can kind of run down through the list, and so the largest part of this first allocation, it'll be done in at least 2, maybe 3 sections because we didn't receive all the money yet, but this first is for $711,106.98, which includes $330,000 for water infrastructure for water line and fire protection. What's particularly good about this, these are things that we would have to do at some point anyway, and we're using this money does not hit the tax roll, which would either be taxed or done from water user fees. So that's the biggest chunk. Then the next largest was done at the last meeting, which was for the Eagle Mill, the $100,000, which we've done under the area of affordable housing. And of course, with that, as we mentioned, that money will also be offset by a density bonus payment from DHCD of $384,000. So that is a good investment for us. After that, we had already allocated a total over 3 years of $69,000 for the Tri-Town inspector. That was done at a previous meeting as well, along with some COVID test kits, which were used for essential employees and our senior housing, and some vaccine costs when they did that at the school. And the other things on here, we had some additional fees with the Bullseye demolition because of asbestos. So there's $28,000 towards that. We have a couple of nonprofits that have requested money from I think all one of them, I think, from all towns in the county, which is the Berkshire Immigrant Center. Also, Green Agers. We have 2 projects where donations totaling right around $10,000 will go to the Green Agers, a nonprofit, one of which is going to redo our trails at the Golden Hill, the Pinnacle Trail at Golden Hill, one of our town parks. They're going to redo those and also help to set up additional community gardens and increase the community garden that was started last year over off of Academy Street. And then we have an area with improvements in our GIS system, as well as our permits. The total is about $30,000. And this is under the blanket of being able to provide more online access to things that rather than in-person visit, someone has to come in to get a copy of a permit, wherever they're able to access it online. So there'll be additional older building permits, different layers on the GIS. For those that aren't familiar, you can access that now on our website, but this would add some additional layers to the information system online for instant public access. And it does include also, we did have a study done by Department of Public Health on Memorial Hall, ways we could improve that. And so we will be looking to about $45,000 would go into new flooring in Memorial Hall and most of the common areas to replace a carpet that's over, close to 30 years old and not something we can clean and sanitize very well. The new one will be, will not only look nicer, but a lot easier to clean, and it meets some of the recommendations from DPH when they did an air quality study there. And the last one is hazard pay for our first responders, fire, police, ambulance, EMTs, and paramedics that were working in public contact throughout the entire pandemic. Does that give them a stipend for their service during that time? So I believe that covers all of them. And that still does leave us with just under $950,000 to go on the second allocation. So this is just the first part of that.
Thank you. Bob, Sean, any questions?
I don't think so. I think Chris has covered it quite succinctly.
Sean?
Nope. Do you need a motion to approve this plan?
I think motion to approve those line items that already haven't been approved.
Okay.
Because there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that already were.
Right. Okay. Yeah, then I would make a motion to approve the ARPA money spending plan or at least those line items which haven't already been approved as stated.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Sean Renier, aye.
Bob Jones, aye.
Pat Carlino, aye. Thank you, Chris. I know we worked very hard on that. Okay. Now we'll jump around. Annual road tolls, of which we had none last year.
Yes. No.
Cindy, are you here?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, can now, yep.
Okay, we did have a road toll last year of the leftovers
Okay,
from 2020, I believe.
Okay.
So now we're starting fresh again.
so we're brand new this year. 2022 is brand new. Everybody's new again.
I believe so. It's so hard to keep track now of where we stand on this, but
I think that's what you told me today,
right,
that everybody
right.
was submitting a new request and we're starting fresh, all except for
Yep.
the VFW.
Yes.
So what normally happens is we ask people to contact the office, either call you or send it in and tell you they'd like to have a road toll for their organization, and then we draw them out of a hat. Correct?
Correct.
And we have how many available?
We have, oh gosh, there's like, I don't have my chart with me, but there is probably 7 or 8 slots, not counting the VFW, which always gets Memorial Day or the Saturday closest to.
Right. Okay. So how long, when do you want them to come in? When do you want people to have them come in?
They can come in at any time and get applications, and then I'll put them in and make little tags, and we'll draw at the next meeting.
So the March 1st meeting or the one after that?
Probably should be the one after that. Gives people
Yeah,
time
because that
to,
only gives them a week. If it's, so let's do the second, March 15th, we'll draw them. So we'll get it out in the news to send in your request now. We'll draw them on March 15th.
Yep. Sounds good.
So can we get that information to the school department somehow too? Before
I can
waiting.
do that, yep.
Okay.
Are we going to put anything on our website or?
Yeah, I guess we could do that too.
Good. I mean,
we can
Chris,
do
can
that.
you do that?
We can put the application on too if you'd like.
Oh, that'd be good.
I'll get that to Chris tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good.
Just out of curiosity, is it generally the same lineup, the same people that apply every year for the
pretty much
the slots? Okay.
Pretty much.
Is there a way to let them know that this is happening so that nobody's left out? Or
I'm pretty sure most of them know it, but I can put the word out.
okay, thanks.
Okay, so moving right along, we're going to turn this back over to Chris, who has something he wants to discuss that's come up within the last couple of weeks in regards to the intersection at the bottom of Main and West Park and Park Street.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share. Just bear with me for 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
So can everyone see that?
Yes.
Make sure. Okay. Yeah, so one of the traffic engineers at BRPC had actually had done some traffic surveys, and Lee was one of the towns that participated in that. And this was one of the things that had been brought up, is this intersection. And just for everyone's perspective, this is the park right here. Kelly Funeral Home, Car Hardware, and then of course Park and West Park Street, and then Main Street going this way. So really what happened there shortly after this concept was come up with. We're not, this from the state, we're not under any obligation to do this, but they did say that if we are interested, we can apply. Unfortunately, I just found out a few days, about a week or so ago about it. The application we do have to do by the end of the month, but this would allow for the funding and the state approval to change this intersection from the current stop sign that's here and a stop sign that's over here to
Chris,
a mini
Chris,
rotary. Yeah, go ahead.
If I could just stop you, do you have the existing conditions just to show that, put that up right now by any chance?
I do not have it ready. I could try to get that in a second, but essentially there's 2 islands here and here,
right?
And then another island here. But if you give me 1 second, I may be able to pull up.
I've got it pulled up right here, Chris. If you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll share my screen actually.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
You've got to unshare.
Yeah.
I think.
Hold on 1 second.
There we go. Oops. Oh, it's disabled. Never mind. I can't unless you enable it.
Yeah, try it now. I just did it.
Nope.
All right, try one more time.
There we go. Yeah, so here's our.
Okay.
Can you guys see that? Everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Right. There's existing. That's what they're proposing, right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to click. Yep. I just wanted to click back and forth so people can kind of see, this island goes away.
Yeah. And then the other 2 islands go away also.
Yeah, this one here and this. Oops. Yeah, the 2 that are in red now. All of this would essentially be done in paint. And
so even the red. That's what I was trying to understand this too. Even the red would be paint.
Right, that would be painted in as well.
Okay.
Yep. As well as the circle. Now there's some questions that come up. Could the circle be done in brick to add some texture, that sort of thing, but which is definitely a possibility to look at. But as of right now, this is all done in paint. And of course, the idea being that it would all be yielding, no stop signs, no stop lights, but traffic coming here could flow this way or loop around here or come back.
Right. Yeah. I'm not seeing where you're pointing at, but I'm getting what you're.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Sean.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen.
Sharing there.
Yeah. I don't know if you can annotate either, but.
Yeah. So they did go as far as to say, and of course, this has been an issue, a traffic issue for years. This is the first time I've heard the state possibly willing to do something about it. I think many people agree that a light would probably be a bad idea because it may back up traffic too long. We certainly, what we have right now isn't the perfect solution. But they did go as far as to say that we could put in their budget to bring it back to the way it was if we found we didn't like this idea. So it's not a huge change. I mean, it's eliminating 3 small islands, paving over it, redoing the paint. I think the bigger thing here is really just, that we have, again, for the first time that I'm aware of, the state is saying that they would consider, letting us do a change to this intersection. I really think the question for the board tonight is it worth pursuing? We don't have to make, a final decision at this, tonight as to whether or not will actually happen, but I do need to let them know if we want to pursue the application by the end of the month. If we do, then, I would think there'd be some time again to make sure that the contract does have a means of, if this turns out to be worse than what we have to go back to the way we had it. There would be no cost incurred to the town. There may be some work from the highway department may need to do, but all of the funding would be covered by the state, including, again, a budget to return it. And we could have an additional budget added for that. You know, if you wanted to pursue, you know, if you wanted to pursue this, like I said, would kind of look for some direction from the board on that. Again, we're not being forced into this, but it's an option that's available to us to try. And this is considered a mini rotary. There's a couple other places that have done similar things around the country that have worked out well. And I did send the board some information on those as well. So,
well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, especially, I mean, you had me at, they'll replace it if it doesn't work at their cost. How can really we say no unless we sit here and see terrible flaws with it, which I don't. My only concern at all were the big trucks, making sure that wasn't going to make it worse. But I don't see where it should.
Well, my concerns with that, Patty, if I can draw some lines on here, is obviously, you know, trucks are going to come down here and they're not going to be able to, they're going to wear out this circle on this side.
Well, so, I kind of wondered about that too, since it was just paint. So maybe we can discuss putting in some brick or whatever.
I hadn't really thought of that. And also I think that, you know, your locals are going to kind of cut this thing off this way too, when nobody's, when nobody else is around, you know, at night or whatnot, they're going to, so I think that's just one thought that I had, is that once these lines in the circle kind of get worn off, it's going to be a little bit. So I think we have to make sure that, you know, they're repainting frequently.
Right. So I guess that's a question for the state. Are they going to maintain that, or is the town going to have to maintain the paint?
Right. Yeah, and I think fair question. And I think the reason why there was no curbing in the circle was so that it would allow flexibility for trucks. Right. And I definitely can ask the question of, you know, could it be brick in there that you could still drive over, but it's going to stand out more, and you know, even if, you know, still be able to plow over it.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't fade away like a paint would.
Yeah, that's interesting thought.
But I think it's worth pursuing until we need to make that big decision.
Yeah, I agree with Patty. I think we should pursue it. They have I'll call it a simulated island. That circle you see them. They have a simulated sort of divider in Stockbridge at the four corners there, and even the locals there haven't been able to figure it out. You're not supposed to drive across that island.
Right in front of the red line you're talking.
Right in front of the red.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, I wish we give people driving lessons, but people tend to drive right across that simulated island, and I think we're going to see some of that here anyway. Yeah. I'm probably one of 3 people in Massachusetts that likes roundabouts, but I really like the design, and I think we should pursue it. But again, I think the locals are going to have to get used to it and realize it's not a line of sight thing. You don't drive through that thing; you drive around it.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, has the chief weighed in on this at all, or?
Yeah, his major he does have some concerns with particularly I'm gonna try to make sure I describe it right, coming from Housatonic Street over right where you're pointing there, Sean, right there.
This way.
About reducing it down to 1 lane there where it's currently 2. So where the yellow hash marks are right now is 2 lanes. So the traffic trying to go up West Park Street towards the railroad tracks pulls into that lane, and the traffic going down Main Street, you know, just continues right through. So,
right.
Yeah,
like
there you can see the second lane that I'm talking about. And the traffic engineer did say there was possibilities for keeping both lanes, but you run into, you know, there are pros and cons to it, you know. But the biggest concern, well, if somebody's pulling out of, say, West Park Street trying to go onto Main, are they going to back up traffic that's coming, you know, from Housatonic Street? And, you know, will a short pause to let that person through back up, you know, a half a dozen cars or so down towards High Street? So that was a concern that he had with that. I don't want to speak, you know, completely for him, but I know that was one of the things he had mentioned.
Is the question tonight whether we proceed or not to proceed? I mean,
yeah, so I think the question tonight is really, do we want to proceed with the application? Once that, I mean, I would say it this way: if we miss the application deadline, we probably have no hope to go back. But if we make the application deadline and then change our mind, it's a lot easier that way to say, you know, we're not going to take the money to do this if it's offered. So really just wanted to kind of put it out, you know, to the board at a public meeting, where if we're want to at least take the next step, I will get on that this week and make sure the application's in. So.
Yeah, I'm. Oh, sorry, Patty. Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I definitely think we should pursue it. You know, we had talked a little bit. I think it's important, and I hope that the state would want to hold some sort of informational meeting about this, because it's not really affecting Lee. We're on a main, you know, it's Route 20, right? So I think that's one thing that I would ask the state if they were going to hold any sort of informational meeting about this, maybe where people could ask, maybe there's a traffic engineer that can field some questions or something. That was kind of my thoughts, as well as making sure that we do have in the budget for this, you know, regular maintenance on the lines and arrows, and then hopefully a cost to, just in case, go back to where we were if it doesn't sort of solve. I guess from my perspective, right, is that if this solves more problems than it creates, great. If it doesn't do that, then maybe we should go back. I think it's just kind of a general, that's my thoughts, but.
Okay. I had an actual driving question. If you're coming out of West Park and you want to go straight across down Housatonic.
West Park, straight across this way, right?
Yeah, straight down towards Housatonic. And I want to go to Town Hall. Am I going to be able to cross over those yellow lines? Or is that an entrance?
Yes, I would, you know, we could also eliminate or have an opening for that, I would assume, but yeah, I mean, it's just lines. There wouldn't be any physical barrier.
That I didn't think so, but I just wanted to make sure. And I was
asking the same question, Patty, about 51 too, because it would work this way too, right? It's a bad arrow, but this way.
You're right, to get into 51. And so maybe just because they're lines, that's okay, you know. But I mean, the way I feel right now is that if you're coming from Housatonic and you're going along, keep going, and you're going straight, you're right, it's 2 lanes right now. And one of those lanes is right where the yellow lines are, in the middle here, right, to go across to West Park, because that's where the stop sign is
right there.
But it's actually kind of dangerous with the 2 lanes as it is now, because you can't see that second lane lots of times. And you get the big trucks coming through, so you think you're okay to take a left, and then boom, out of nowhere comes that other lane of traffic. So this would reduce it to a 1 lane of traffic coming from Housatonic and around the to go up to Main, correct?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and there's of course just 1 lane until
I
you
think,
get
Chris,
to this point.
you
Yeah.
touched on earlier, you were mentioning that there could be a double lane option on this side, but I think that that's more to me, that would be more problematic.
Oh, I do too.
I agree.
But anyway, I guess I'm in favor of pursuing it right now, and then we'll wait. We'll need to listen to Craig and see what his concerns are. But we might as well make sure we get it in on time, just in case.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, so I'm really going to look at it is the application with three conditions I want to kind of ask from what I'm getting from the board. One would to make the biggest one to make sure we could go back if we didn't like it, whether that's budgeted in there, go back to that version. The second being if there's a possibility of a public meeting before it happens, and the third about potential for a brick or some other textured circle, but still something you could drive over.
And upkeep of the painting.
Right.
Whether that's them or us.
Right.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
Absolutely.
Do we need a vote to go forward with this, or just to give Chris the okay to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it certainly wouldn't hurt if you want to,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue pursue the potential change in intersection at Main Street, Park Street, West Park Street, with hinging on some of those conditions we've all mentioned.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Sean Renier, aye.
Bob Jones, aye.
Pat Carlino, aye. Okay, we don't have any pending business. Chris, do you have anything else you want to bring up that we haven't discussed?
just a couple things. I did attend a webinar with or a Zoom meeting with Barry Dunn. I know Kathy Hall's mentioned that as well, and we're hoping they'll be able to come and present to the board later in March the findings of that study, and then we also have the second finance committee meeting will be held tomorrow, so that's underway, and the committee at the meeting last Wednesday identified a number of departments we'll be meeting with. So tomorrow will be police and fire. So just wanted to mention that is in progress. DPW is almost moved into town hall. We're doing they have a few more things to take care of, but that's in progress, and they will, by the end of this month, the public will be able to access the DPW department in the second floor of town hall. And lastly, I did want to mention that we got our expression of interest back on the master plan, saying that we can go ahead and pursue the full application for the $75,000. They did say we are eligible for that. That was the first step of that. And so we'll proceed with the full application, and we won't know until the fall, but whether we receive it or not. But we did get the green light to go ahead with it, so I did want to share that with the board. So.
Okay. Is there anything else from the board?
Nope.
Okay, well, I guess I would just like to announce it was posted today, but the Board of Selectmen will be meeting on Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock. We have a 3-hour time slot to interview the 3 finalized candidates that the search committee has put forward to us. We are meeting with the candidates in person, but it will be on Zoom for public or anyone who would like to tune in. There is no discussion or participation by the public, but you're welcome to listen to it and listen to any of our deliberations, all public. I didn't ask who's running the Zoom meeting. Chris, should I ask you? I don't know who's running the Zoom meeting on Thursday.
I believe it will be Lindsay.
Okay. Okay. And I did ask Lindsay to be with us, not to say anything, but just to sit in case we say something wrong or ask the wrong question. And again, I had asked you a while ago, come up with a few questions that you want to ask and make sure we're going to ask each candidate the same questions. And I have about 8, I think. And I went through the list that the search committee asked. Some of them are about the same. Some of our own questions are probably going to be the same, but so looking forward to that. And we'll see you on Thursday at 4 o'clock at Town Hall.
It's at 4, Patty?
I believe that, I think that's what it said, 4, 5, and 6, or 4:45. Why, you don't think it is?
For some reason, I had it down as 3, but I could be wrong.
Oh, no, I wasn't 3.
I'm just going to go on the website right now.
Okay.
I'm on the website. Our posting says 4 to 7. Yep.
4 to 7. Okay, very good.
7.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's nothing else, could I have a motion to adjourn? Our next regular meeting will be March 1st, not February 15th, March 1st at 7 o'clock. Oh, we do need to discuss. Are we going to stay with Zoom or are we going to go back to meeting in public?
Are we going to be able to do, if on March 1st, would we be able to do a hybrid meeting on March 1st? I'm just curious.
Hybrid meeting, or you're thinking in person, or?
I'm thinking if we were to do it in person, could I mentioned earlier that there seems to be a push for committee meetings to be hybrid. Mm-hmm. I'm just asking out of curiosity if we would be able to do that at that time.
I don't know, Bob.
And
the only experience I've had with hybrid is, for some reason, they're harder to manage than just the regular Zoom. Yeah. So I have to defer that question to whomever is. Do you want to wait until the second meeting in March?
Yeah, I personally, I think probably just to find out what we can do. Okay. And let's do March 1st Zoom if possible. Zoom.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'd be happy to run a few tests on that and see what's possible.
Sure.
The big thing will be getting the audio down. That when we tried that once before, we learned a few lessons about the audio and with feedback and making sure everyone has a mic. So I can definitely do some tests and see what we can come up with and let you guys know. So
the way the school committee gets around the feedback loop when they did it, because they did a hybrid version, is that everybody's got earplugs. And none of that's how the feedback loop gets created, right? So when you're speaking into a microphone and then your speakers are projecting what you're speaking and that's going back into the microphone you're talking about, it's feedback loop, right? So that's how they kind of get around that, is that there's no speakers picking up what you're saying. It's all in your ears.
And I think the way they're doing it, Sean, if I remember correctly, is it's only the board that's in person and everyone else is live. So if you, in the true hybrid sense, if we had people actually attending the meeting as well, we would have to have.
It would be more difficult.
The speaker and after the time we did try it, we have an answer. Which would be having an audio mixer, but we would need someone to run that mixer. Would be the.
Well, then let's leave it Zoom for March 1st, and let's play with it and see how.
Excellent.
If it's something we can manage for the next meeting.
Great.
Okay. If there's nothing else, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Sean Renier, aye.
Bob Jones, aye.
Pat Carlino, aye. Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Night.